The conflict is entering a far more dangerous phase as the United States expands its military campaign deep inside Iran. Washington is no longer striking only military facilities. Iranian officials now say key civilian infrastructure has become a major target. Tehran is warning that if civilian sites continue to come under attack, countries supporting the United States could soon face the consequences. The United States has expanded its air campaign by striking civilian infrastructure across Iran, according to Iranian officials. Authorities say bridges, airports, railway links and road tunnels have all been hit in successive waves of attacks. Tehran has accused Washington of deliberately targeting civilian facilities during the latest offensive. Iranian authorities say at least 41 people have been killed and more than 400 wounded since the start of July. Fresh overnight strikes reportedly damaged 3 bridges across Iran's southern Hormuzgan province. Officials say the Shahid Rezaei tunnel suffered heavy damage in both directions after the latest attacks. The strategically important Raud Khana shower bridge on the Bandar Abbas, Surjan route was also hit. 2 more bridges between Minab Junction and Rudin were reportedly damaged during the same operation. Iran says these strikes follow earlier attacks on airports, railway infrastructure and key transport corridors. Tehran describes the repeated attacks on civilian transport links as a deliberate escalation of the conflict. Senior advisor to Iran's supreme leader, General Mohsen Rezaei, delivered one of Tehran's strongest warnings yet.
If the U.S. attacks continue for another 2 or 3 days, we will enter a phase of full-scale offensive and destructive attacks. What does that mean? It means that Iran will no longer limit itself to mere retaliation, and no political border will be safe from Iran's offensive powers.
Iran has warned countries hosting U.S. military forces to prepare for what it calls a corresponding response. The warning was issued by Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps in a statement released on July 17, according to Tasnim news agency. IRGC's statement read, and I quote, "The countries that host the aggressors of the United States should be ready to receive a corresponding response." The location of the gathering of the aggressor forces in the support center of the ground forces in Arif Jan and the radar of the American base of Ali al-Salem in Kuwait were destroyed. The U.S. regime that broke the agreement once again amid negotiations and the illusion of weakening Iran, officially resumed the war that had never ended since the beginning of last week. But after a few days of war with the armed forces and receiving crushing responses to his aggressions and verifying that the Iranian armed forces have become much stronger. Since the first day of the war on February 28, instead of honorably accepting defeat and admitting to his miscalculation since the previous day, he took a new approach by running away from the battlefield face to face and tried to hide his failure in the military confrontation by engaging in war crimes and by destructive attacks on hospitals, bridges, railways, airports, ports, and telecommunication centers. Like that and the killing of civilians, he tried to maintain his position instead of fighting crime and cowardice. Since there is no international organization to prevent these barbarities of the American army, there is no other way than the Quranic commandment in front of us. Therefore, the host countries of the aggressors of the United States, who gave their land to the aggressors to attack Iran, should be ready to receive a corresponding response and activate their civil defense units to protect the lives of their citizens and keep them away from possible targets. Nevertheless, in order to give a chance to change this cowardly approach of the American enemy, last night we chose military targets to respond to the enemy. In the 18th wave of Operation Nasir II, the powerful fighters of the IRGC ground forces, with the blessed code Ya Abul Fazl al-Abbas, peace be upon him, targeted the location of the gathering of the aggressor forces in the support center of their ground forces in Arif Jan, killed a number of them, and simultaneously destroyed it with a drone attack on the radar of the American base of Ali al-Salem in Kuwait. Ground forces fighters also destroyed a weapons maintenance shed and a drone hangar. Fighting like warriors continues. Unquote. The warning came after the IRGC claimed it had struck Camp Arif Jan and Ali al-Salem airbase in Kuwait. Iran says the operation destroyed a radar system, a weapons maintenance facility, and a hangar allegedly linked to U.S. forces. The IRGC accused Washington of resuming military operations while negotiations were still underway. Tehran also urged Gulf governments to activate civil defense measures as the conflict enters a more dangerous phase. The warning appears aimed at increasing pressure on regional allies that continue to host or support U.S. military operations. Meanwhile, Kuwait says another power generation and water desalination plant has come under an Iranian attack. Authorities confirmed that a fire broke out inside one of the facility's key components. Several electricity generation units were shut down as a precaution to protect the national power grid. Emergency crews and firefighters rushed to contain the damage and prevent further disruption. Kuwaiti officials have urged residents to conserve electricity during peak hours while repair operations continue.
$25 करोड़ गरीब गरीबी को परास्त करके बाहर निकले।
For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
The fastest news breaks.
Requested PM saying that look, you will have to speak to Putin and to Zelensky.
The biggest news makers.
The relationship with India is probably the most important bilateral relationship the U.S. will have for the rest of this century.
The capital delivered quite an election result today.
Expert analysis.
The million-dollar question today is how to stop this dance of death.
Ground reports.
I'm standing at the crossroad of the Kumbh Mela. Behind me are more than 100 entry ghats.
Long-form interviews.
Exclusionary politics is reflected in Manipur case as well. You don't bother because this is a small state.
Have you ever wondered what happens when a banking dynasty meets tides of world history, intrigue, and a dash of myth?
Why exactly did the US topple the Sheikh Hasina government?
HD videos. We don't just break news, we break it down.